So after finally completing this project, I think just a little summary of my findings is that the genome that I received, I found that had the highest similarity was FDAARGOS in reference to the MG1655 E. coli strain. And what really made it clear for me was not just from the different in silico serotyping we did, but the Artemis comparison tool showed a lot more blocks of sequence similarity for that gene. But also looking at the Brig plot, I think there were a lot less white gaps indicating 50% identity. There were more like 100% identity. So that's why I think that's also a reason that complete genome is more similar to the reference genome received. When I chose my reference genome, I chose the strain CFT073 for E. coli, and I just downloaded that from the MCB website, and I found that it was a lot, in comparison to the 5 genomes I got, there were a lot less identical sequences. There were more 50% identity blocks in the Brig plot. However, I think that some variations were spotted within the Brig plot. I think that the ESCKA7 genome I got had a little less white sequences indicating 50% identity, but also the FDAARGOS sequence had that as well. So I think it was kind of hard to tell which one was actually more similar to my reference. So I couldn't make like a clear conclusion from that. But from the Brig plot and the ACT synteny plots, I can tell that for the MG1655 genome, that FDAARGOS was more similar. Looking at the different in silico serotyping, I believe that the O and H antigen had a lot of there was like a lot of similarity between those two, not just within the reference sequence, but across the genomes. So I think that the most similar one in comparison with the reference genome was the ESCKA7 one, with the genes WZX and WZY being O16 variants, and but also FDAARGOS had close similarity for O antigen 104. Something I noticed for the rest finder serotyping was that all 5 genome assemblies had the MDFA gene, which is a multi-drug resistance protein, and the reference only had this one gene, and I think the closest to the reference was VA2 and VA5. But I think those 2 genomes were all over the place in terms of my analysis, so I couldn't properly conclude that it was very similar to the MG1655 gene, but I could with the FDAARGOS.